Government says removing subsidy on fuel at this time might be problematic, and now they've suspended that action and their idea of removal of subsidy by July. The Nigerian Bar Association is working on putting together practical measures to achieving an improved and independent judicial system in Nigeria. Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm sure Kimbaloye in Abuja. Let's tell you, first and foremost, that, well, the PDP Secretariat in Abuja is busy. The National Working Committee of the party are meeting with the stakeholders from Ekiti State to reconcile aggrieved members of the party in the state. Let's check for you what is happening on the inside. Attending that meeting are the chairman, PDP Governors Forum, and the governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, and the minority leader of the House of Representatives, Honorable Ndidi Elumelu. Also present are former governors of Ekiti, Segun Oni and Ayodele Fayose, as well as Senator Biodun Olujimi, among other top officials of the party. The national chairman of the PDP, Senator Yocha Ayu, while addressing the Ekiti stakeholders, notes that they must not allow themselves to be distracted from the goal of the party, which is to win the forthcoming governorship election in the state. The meeting is holding at the PDP National Secretariat in Abuja. And while some aggrieved members of the PDP from Ekiti State have staged a protest outside of the party's National Secretariat, the protesters carrying placards with different inscriptions express their displeasure over what they describe as an attempt by the immediate past governor of the state, Ayodele Fayose, to impose his candidate on the people. Well, then let's get to see some of your political roundup stories.
So should it now be the Central Bank of Agriculture?
A former deputy governor of the central bank, Professor Kingsley Moalu, is faulting the frontline role of the CBN in agriculture. He says while the CBN is allowed to get involved in development financing, it cannot be a dominant player. He describes the situation as a state failure. He was speaking to our political correspondent, Terry Kumi.
The reason why the central bank can't get involved in these things is that we are not the Bank of England. We're a developing country. We still have developmental challenges. And there's nothing wrong if the central bank plays a certain critical role in that universe.
All the ongoing routes.
Presidential aspirant on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and Governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, has assured Nigerians that he will work with all citizens to salvage the country from current challenges that have befallen the nation. Following his pronouncement to contest for the nation's #1 job, the Ebonyi State Governor, at a reception organized for him after declaring his presidential bid in Abuja last Thursday, equally advised Nigerians not to entertain any form of fear of the emergence of an Igbo president come 2023.
Let me assure you that I'm in one spirit with you, and together God is going to enthrone us to bring greater unity for this troubled nation, Nigeria, and to lift people up.
The internally displaced persons of Bakassi are calling on the federal government of Nigeria to come to their aid and provide them with a home to call their own, as the housing units built for them by the Cross River State Governor, Professor Benayade, were destroyed by angry youth during the NSAS protests in 2020, making them homeless again. Speaking in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, after a sit-out organized by one of the daughters of note, Senator Florence Itagewa, to strengthen the unity between them, she explained that the IDPs have suffered untold hardship since the destruction of the housing units and are left to the mercy of the federal government, and the burden is too much for the state government alone to bear.
Without much ado, sir,
Yobe State Governor Maimala Buni has expressed readiness to support the military and other security agencies to combat the activities of Boko Haram, insurgents and other criminal activities in the state. He made the statement at the August 27 Stadium in Damaturu while commemorating the Nigerian Army Social Activities Day organized by the troops of Sector 2 Joint Task Force Operation Hadinkai in a bid to strengthen military and civil relationships.
Next Ekiti State Governor.
As political parties warm up for their primary elections ahead of the Ekiti State governorship poll, agitators for power shift say fairness and equity should be prioritized. The Ekiti Concerned Citizens Group, which believe that the governorship seat shall be equitably rotated, advised aspirants and gladiators in the Ekiti election year to eschew thuggery, money politics, and inferior choices.
Since the creation of Ekiti State in 1996, the South has never produced Ekiti State governor.
Well, let's get to the biggest story in the land as we speak this hour. There is a new twist to the fuel subsidy conversation as the federal government has now suspended the planned removal of subsidy on petrol. We don't know the date when that conversation might come back, but the Finance Minister, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, disclosed this during a meeting convened at the instance of the Senate President, Senator Ahmed Lawan. She says the federal government initially planned to remove subsidy on petroleum products from July 2022. However, after consultations with a number of stakeholders, it became clear that the timing is problematic, and herself and our counterpart in the Petroleum Ministry spoke on the touchy matter earlier today at the National Assembly.
Let me start by stating the fact that we did make a provision in the 2022 budget for fuel subsidy for January to June. And that suggests that from July there will be no subsidy. And this provision was made sequel to the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act that has made a provision that all products will be deregulated. Subsequent to the passage of the Act, we went back and amended the fiscal framework that was submitted to National Assembly to incorporate this demand. But after the budget was passed, and we have had consultations with a number of stakeholders, it became clear that the timing is problematic, that practically there is still heightened inflation, and also removal of subsidy will further worsen the situation, thereby imposing more difficulties on the citizens.
The government is not considering removing subsidy. But of course, there are some legislative issues that we needed to discuss with the National Assembly. You know that there is a law passed.
Yes.
And there are some provisions of the law which we need to tackle. And we've been able to sit with the National Assembly, and we are fully on the same page. But everything boils down to the fact that subsidy removal will not happen.
And then you've heard from perhaps the two ministers that are directly involved, the Minister of State for Petroleum, Temi Silva, and Mrs. Ahmed, who is in charge of finance. Well, the Senate President says he's aware of the gravity of his remark on the removal of petroleum subsidy as well as the ripples it has caused. He said that he made that statement earlier today at that meeting. You remember that statement that he made about the fact that there is no plan to remove subsidy, which looked so much that, what exactly is he talking about after he met with President? Because initially, the Minister of Petroleum, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Info, all of them had said subsidy was going to go. Take a listen to Senator Ahmed Lawan, the Senate President, at today's meeting.
And I'm taking this opportunity to appeal to TUC and LSC to shelve this plan to go on strike or demonstration. Is totally unnecessary. There is not going to be removal of subsidy, so there is no need for this. Please, let's not create unnecessary tension where there should be none at all. So I appeal to them using this medium to please forget about this day 27 deadline, because there is no need for any deadline. We are supposed to come together and work seriously to ensure that our country is stable, that our people enjoy the benefits of government programs and projects, that at the end of the day, whatever decision will be taken will be in the best interest of our people, protecting the most vulnerable amongst us.
Senate President Hamid Lawan, so advice, telling Labour not to protest. Perhaps what would have made Labour to think they would protest is when, if government says they are for sure going to remove fuel subsidy, but it doesn't look like that will happen. But it will make sense for the conversations to continue, because not removing it perhaps is not the solution. We're removing it, be the solution. Well, we'll get some reactions on that matter in a short while. The judiciary, they say, is the last hope of the common man. But that hope sometimes suffers some battering when challenges within the justice sector rear its ugly head. Issues of independence of the judiciary, infrastructure problems, personnel strength, political influence, and corruption. These are some of the issues that bedevil the judicial system in Nigeria. The Nigerian Bar Association believes it can be fixed. These challenges can go. There are solutions to this problem, and these are now embarked on a discourse on ways to devise measures to improve performance and independence of the justice system. There are conversations around that, which is going to effectively begin tomorrow. Tonight, I have joining me the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Olumide Akpata. Thank you so much for coming tonight on the program.
Thank you, Shehu. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure is mine. Let's begin the conversation on the issue of the subsidy. I mean, this is perhaps the biggest story in the land. We heard it's going to be removed. In fact, there is no provision for it after July. Yes. Government will then need to now think about some kind to buffer, because if that needs to be paid from July upwards, then there needs to be some payment that will be done in the budget. So what is your initial reaction to this?
Okay, I hope you will not accuse me of being a conspiracy theorist. The subsidy issue is a hot potato, right, for any government, particularly in this part of the world. It's a hot potato. And as for my initial reaction, I would have loved to think that the decision to suspend, I would have wanted to believe that it is because the government cares so much about the people, and is a government that is listening to the cries of the people. Because indeed, as the Minister of Finance mentioned, it will be really tough if subsidy removal is implemented at this time, with all of the other supervening circumstances. However, something tells me that this has more to do with what is in the offing. An election is coming up, and the strategists would probably have sat down to think about it, and they've told themselves, and they've told those who they advise, that it will be political hierarchy. It will be suicidal at this point in time to take out subsidy going into an election, which is just around the corner. So you asked me for my initial thoughts. This is what I think the issue is, because those kind of hard decisions, those kind of really tough decisions, I don't think the kind of decisions you want to take going into an election. Those are my thoughts. I may be wrong.
It's largely, for you, it's largely a political decision.
Absolutely.
I mean, but it may not be economically practical for us to go. I mean, because the question I would like to ask you is, not removing it, is it a solution?
No, you see, what I think is happening is that somebody has just decided to kick the can just further down the road just a bit. That's what I think is going on, you know. Somebody has decided to kick the can down the road and make provisions for July and a little bit further down. And then maybe we'll come back to the issue later, because there's no way from, like you say, from an economic perspective, and now from a legal perspective with the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act, there's no way you can avoid the topic. We're going to have to sit down and talk about subsidy. And bitter pills will have to be swallowed at some point. But I am persuaded that this is just a quick fix, temporary solution, pending when when the political juggernauts come back from the field.
It's going to be interesting, perhaps, when this drag onto 2023, a new government that will come in place will then have to deal with.
We'll be faced with this.
During the Jonathan era, let's say there were a large population of Nigerians who took to the street to protest the issues of this subsidy. It was being raised by Bukola Saraki on the floor of the Senate. It dovetailed into a very big matter that became a very big national discourse. But I mean, fundamentally, is how we can put an end into what some have criticized is a matter that has benefited a few Nigerians who benefit from importation. That how can it be heard that Nigeria has 4 refineries and none can even refine a drop of petrol for us to consume locally? The conversation around how much of petrol do we even consume, there are debates and over the exact amount. But going forward, I mean, either in this dispensation or another, what do you think could be a permanent fix to this dilemma?
I mean, like you say, it's a scandal. You know, our situation in the oil and gas industry is a downright disaster. So I think permanent solution would be, it's a give and take. You know, the people are expectant. You remove subsidies. What are the options you leave for the people? You know, you remove subsidies on petrol or petroleum products. Are you investing in multimodal transportation? Are the options for mass transit? Are they available? Are people able to leave their cars, use their cars less, or use petrol-fueled modes of transportation less? Are we making those alternative arrangements? We're kicking the can further down the road now. What are we doing in the interim? What are we going to take advantage of this intervening period to put alternatives on the table? Nigerians are not unreasonable people. If they see that there are alternatives on the table, viable alternatives, I mean, they understand the logic. But you can't force me. You can't. It's almost akin to closing the nose of a child and his mouth and expecting him or her to breathe. You know what I mean? There must be alternatives. There must be a way out. So I'm hoping that whichever government comes in, because I don't see this subsidy issue coming up again until after the election. That would be my bet. I mean, I'm not exactly a betting man, but that would be my bet.
Betting sure needs some skills.
Yes.
To be able to look at the crystal ball and see what the future holds.
Absolutely.
But definitely one conversation that we definitely must have is whether our refineries will work, when it will work, when Dangote refinery also is a good news, the private sector based, but those 2 refineries, Warri and Port Harcourt, that the government said it will come on stream. Hopefully that will happen and we'll get things running.
It's not rocket science, you know. If those in leadership want the refineries to work, the refineries will work. If the refineries have become outdated, they can be scrapped and new refineries built. It's not rocket science. Refineries are machinery. The refineries older than Warri and Port Harcourt are working in other parts of the world. It's not rocket science. If our leaders want our refineries to work, they will work.
Let me take you to the business for the reason why we want you to speak as the leader of the bar in Nigeria. I mean, how much of worry does the situation and the justice system give you?
Oh, it's sleepless nights. It is for us, for the lawyers, for the bar. It is really it's an existential issue, because, like we keep on saying, it is one legal profession. We all belong to the legal profession, the judges and the lawyers. So it's us. It's about us. And when the perception out there is that the judiciary is failing or has failed, it rubs off on the lawyers directly. And particularly when you consider that the judges themselves are not always in a position to speak out and to say it as it is. It behoves on the legal profession, the lawyers, to speak out on behalf of that, on behalf of the 2 sides of the coin, to explain or to detail out what the issues really are, and to try and proffer solutions. So it's a source of grave concern.
Have things gone so bad? I mean, people will say, oh man, maybe things were not this bad a few years ago, but how bad are things? Can you describe in a sentence how bad things have come?
For me, you know, I really would hate to go into conjecture or to begin. All I would do is say, let's apply the reasonable man's test. You know, the bystander. What do the people think about the Nigerian judiciary? And it's not really far. It's not hard to get an answer. The people have lost confidence in that institution. And that is not to say they are totally correct. That is not to say that everything is wrong about the judiciary, but perception, as they say, you know, can be reality. So for me, really, the worrying thing is that the society that we seek to serve have lost faith in the institution. So it is time for stock taking. It's time to look inwards and say, okay, how do we regain the confidence of those whom we seek to serve? So that really is a problem. No, not a blame game, not finger pointing, but just simply to say, I mean, they can't be wrong, all wrong. You know, those who are watching and taking stock, those who are observing us. And again, I stress on us, because it is one legal profession. As has been said now and again, nobody is called to the bench. We're all called to the bar, and then some go to the bench. So it is one legal profession. And if the average man on the street says that has nothing good to say about the legal profession and the judiciary, it is time for us to look inwards and try and fix it.
To look into the solutions, which is one of the reasons for the conference you are holding.
The Justice Sector Summit.
Justice Sector Summit.
Yes.
Tomorrow it's at 11 a.m. I understand.
Actually, we kick off at 9 a.m.
At 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And he's here in Abuja.
Yes, at the Yaradua Center.
And this is in the NBA and the Judiciary Committee.
Oh yeah. So what we've done is we don't want it to be an echo chamber, just us talking to ourselves. We have reached out to other stakeholders. So the Nigeria Bar Association, working with the Justice Research Institute, a think tank that is really focused on the performance of the judiciary, and also with the active support of the National Judicial Council, and the UNODC, and the Konrad Adenauer Foundation. And finally, we also have the Justice Reform Project. So all of us have come together to collaborate. All of us in our different silos have been concerned about the judiciary, have been making moves and attempts to proffer solutions. But on this occasion, we are coming together, all entities, to say, okay, let us talk more about solutions. We have jojoed about this over the years. Let us come together, put together all that we have been able to garner in terms of information, in terms of statistics, in terms of data, and then let us see where the pressure points are, what the problems are. And we are attacking the problem from three major perspectives. Firstly, the issue of how judges are appointed, how they are selected, and how they are disciplined. That is one. Then we're also looking at financial autonomy, the autonomy of the judiciary, and that is very closely related to, of course, their welfare, because that's a major issue. And lastly, we're looking at the efficiency or the lack of it of the system. How well does the justice system run? On this one, we're going to be using reports from studies conducted by the Konrad Adenauer Foundation. They have done quite a lot of work on this. What is the feedback? How well is the system working? So we're going to spend all of tomorrow.
So I want to know, Mr. Akpata, would this be a frank conversation? Would this be a family members coming together and telling themselves the way it is? Because, I mean, these conversations have come several years. We've seen these conversations come, but it does look like you're taking a serious approach to it this time around. How serious and how tenacious are you going to be, or how frank will the conversations be tomorrow?
Extremely frank, brutally frank, and yes, it's going to be a family meeting. We're two peas in the same pot. You know, we should be able to tell ourselves the truth The NBA, at least under my watch, we have stated again and again that we don't intend to be a rubber stamp in this process. So we're going to make sure that our voice is heard. We're going to speak to those who superintend that arm of government. The judiciary is the only arm of government that is the exclusive preserve of lawyers. It is our territory. So we must look inwards, and we must tell them, those of our colleagues who are on that side, to say, it's time, we need to work at this. And of course, there are issues that are where you can say the problem really emanates from the lawyers. We will also look at that, frankly, and deal with those issues. So very frank conversations we intend to have tomorrow. Like somebody said, some tables, we will shake some tables tomorrow.
I mean, if the tables are shaking, we will get carpenters to fix them, to put them together.
Not a problem
as far as Nigeria is back on track, and we can get a judiciary that anybody can go to, and don't think that some judges are being paid and is not going to get a fairness, get justice in the court. One major thing here is the lawyers are guided by the rules of their conduct, the professional conduct. The judges are also have the rules of their conduct, and they are enabling laws for the judicial officers. But the big question here is that whatever you are doing, legislation back the performance and the function of judiciary, then it means that laws need to be changed, laws need to be reviewed, it needs to be amended, it needs to be altered. Are you effectively looking at working with the National Assembly in this respect?
Absolutely, you are spot on, which is why we have ensured that among the participants at tomorrow's conversation are the leaders of the National Assembly. Again, that arm of government is populated extensively, largely by lawyers also, right? So we have ensured that that conversation will be had with them in attendance, so that, and we're going straight to solutions. For example, once we identify solutions that have been proffered, those that need statutory backing, those that need statutory imprimatur, our colleagues who are in the National Assembly, who will be in the room, and that will be the charge given to them to implement, to go forward and try to give statutory backing to some of the resolutions that will come out of tomorrow's conversation. So, yeah, the Senate President is invited, the Speaker of the House is invited, and I must say that as far as the House of Representatives is concerned, the NBA will have been collaborating actively with that arm of the legislature. So it's they are ready. They are ready to implement whatever it is that we give legislating backing to whatever it is we come up with.
That's a cheering news, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, all those efforts will come to nothing if they're not really being passed into law.
Can I tell you that they are already in existence, guidelines and subsidiary legislation and laws indeed that are in place. So we will also be looking at how well we have even operated under the existing framework. Let us even look at that. So because, it's not enough to just say, change the laws. How well have we operated under the existing framework? And yes, where there is a need to amend, where there's a need to tweak, yes, we will propose those, and we will enlist the support of members of the legislature.
Is the bar or the judiciary generally thinking about taking the powers of appointing a judge out of based on the existing legislation, out of the appointer?
Well, for first and foremost, we are going to be talking about executive interference in the process tomorrow, to see how this has, whether we are fed well under this system, where there is that executive, the role that the executive plays in that process. Yes, we're going to look at it, but we're also going to look at how the judges themselves or the justices are appointed in terms of knowledge of the law. Because first and foremost, before anybody gets to that office, they must have the wherewithal to conduct themselves in that office. So it is, I think, it is already a tragedy where somebody who ought not to be in that position gets there. So somebody who's not qualified gets there because you have a system that is opaque or not very transparent, then it's double jeopardy when the person gets there and then now becomes corrupt or whatever. And I think both are related.
All right.
Yeah,
because
so
another conversation would be whether or not the governors, I mean, in terms of the independence of the judiciary in the state, whether or not the issue of the Order 10, maybe that conversation will also come to play. But on a final note, Mr. Akpata, a big question here. What would you consider is the biggest challenge that you'll be proffering solutions to tomorrow?
I think can you give me the latitude to mention two.
Okay.
Firstly is the process of appointment and selection
of judges.
For us, that is the starting point. But then the other issue is that of the autonomy, the independence of that arm of government.
In terms of performance or monetary or financial?
In terms of funding, right? In terms of decision making, you know, and as we have pointed out, yes, Order 10, yes, Judicial have gone on strike on the issue, but as many constitutional law experts have put forward, it is a very deep issue. It's a deep problem that lies in our constitution, which is not exactly as clear or as unequivocal as it should be, right, with regard to how our courts should be funded. So we have made proposals to the National Assembly with regard to the constitutional amendment, because it is something that goes down to how the constitution is worded. So for me, those are the two key
major issues.
Yeah.
We'll see how that is being treated, of course. We will cover that event tomorrow and see all those conversations.
We'll be glad to have you there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olumide Akpata. It's a pleasure, and we wish you the very best, because the better our judicial system is, or the justice system, the better for the average man there, who knows that if there is a wrongdoing, remedies when they go to court is going to be served, justice is going to be served. Thank you so much.
Thank you, General. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you. Thank you. We'll take a break, everyone. And when we return, Jide Adediran, the Lagos for Lagos convener, and Ayodele Adewale, organizing secretary of the APC in Lagos, will be joining me to discuss the threat of the PDP to beat the APC at a poll in 2023. They say they are ready to take APC on. What does this mean? By this threat and the Lagos for Lagos storming Lagos with PDP leaders. We'll discuss this after this break, everyone. Join us again. Thank you so much, everyone. From discussing how to fix the judicial system now to mainstream politics. Jide Adediran and his Lagos for Lagos members last week made an announcement on their decision to take over Lagos State from the APC as they defected from the APC to the PDP. Lagos APC have had several years of holding on to power from the days of Bola Tinubu in 1999 to Raji Fashola, Babatunde Fashola, and Ambode. Now Babajide Sanwo-Olu, but the PDP feels that good run is gradually coming to an end. Well, joining me from our Lagos studio, the convener of the Lagos for Lagos group, Jide Adediran. He joins us now. Hopefully, we'll be joined when he arrives the studio by Ayodele Adewale, the organizing secretary of the APC in Lagos. Both of them will be joining us there. Thank you so much, Mr. Adediran, for joining us tonight. You predicated the threat your party threw at the APC on the fact that they were not listening to you, and that it was a party that pushed you out before you decided to join the PDP. Give us an understanding of what is behind your mind, or what is the workings of your agenda, your strategy on that rally, first and foremost, and secondly, the ultimate goal that you have for this Lagos for Lagos.
All right, thank you very much, Sheung, and viewers, good evening. First, I would like to react to something that I've been playing out since we defected on Friday last week. There has been this saying in APC camp that how come you're having 5, 6 governors and the NWC coming to receive a baby politician like me? And I tend to say that if there is nothing wrong in the president of this country, who is the national leader of their party in truth and in the face of the law, receiving a decampee in his office, who didn't even come with his wife or any member of his family, with due respect to my brother Femi Fani-Kayode, then what's wrong in all these governors coming to a state of Lagos where we have thousands of, decampees, coming from the ruling APC to the PDP, something that has never happened in the history of the state of Lagos. So first, I'm going to drop that reaction that what happened on Friday, I must say this, was beyond us decamping from APC to PDP. It was actually a final barrier of APC in Lagos State. I'm sure you saw it. These are foot soldiers of the ruling APC in Lagos who have decided to dump all the money back to say, you know what, we're taking our own future in our own hands. And that was what you witnessed on Friday. Don't forget, we do have history where we're coming from. And we didn't just start today. We've been on this for the past 6 years, and we've been preaching one thing. What we need and what we're asking for is a level playing field. And that is what we said. Look, we don't care even if you're going to lose that contest at the end of the day, but give us that level playing field. So we had congresses here and there. You sat somewhere putting up a list and saying this is what is going to fly. And we were saying it to the party at the national level, that if you refuse to do the needful, we have this number, we're going to move. So they thought we were joking. They thought we were just pretending. But last Friday, we've been able to show to them that no, we are indeed a contender, in this game. We're not here to pretend. And choosing PDP, some have said, why PDP? Why not form a new party? I'm sure that is what they would have loved us to do. But because of the understanding of the game, that a structure that wins election is not just you being popular or you being, no. Even if you have all the money in this world and you want to do vote buying, you need structure to help you even buy the votes, let alone you don't even have anything. So what we have done is to join forces, with the ruling, with an existing political party who's got structure across the nation. And PDP is a party that is very, very democratic in nature. You can see that again. And we have gone there, to add value, to tell them, look, it is not just about us. Of course, yes, we are coming with ambition, but it's not just about our ambition. We're coming here to be part of the big family.
Let me cut in quickly, Jide. One question I'd like to ask you. Let's get it clear. Your hands were raised, or your arm was raised by the PDP National Chairman, Senator Yocha Ayu. What does that signify? Tell us clearly. Do you want to run for governor of Lagos in 2023? Is that the reason behind that rally?
No. If you want to call it, it shouldn't be a raise of hand. It should be a flag handing over. Shehu, you understand this thing. So raising my hands is to say, look, this man has joined the party alongside thousands of his followers. So this is not about, it's not endorsements, let me say, because we're still going to go into primary. There are other PDP members, existing members of the PDP, who are equally qualified to vie for this position. All of us, we're still going to go to polls and see how we can choose one of us to represent the party and ultimately win for the party. And like we have been saying, we're not even here. Okay, let me give you an example. If you want to act like your regular politician, we're saying, okay, we just came, we've got numbers. So the existing structure that you have done, you have to disrupt it so that we can have our people and all of this. But we're saying no. We're saying no. If we win as a party, all the 1,000 soldiers
that takes me to yet another question. For those who debate that the era of people just coming up and wanting to be governors or president is perhaps over, Nigerians want to know the profile, the pedigree of those who are seeking office. And we know that based on what the law provides, getting into public office or politics or running for governor or president is not cheap. There has to be a lot of money that will be spent. So first and foremost, the question is that, what is your pedigree? How do you hope, or what is running in your mind? What makes you think that you have what it takes in terms of the experience and the knowledge and the wherewithal to be able to run for the #1 seat in Lagos?
Okay, thank you, Shehu. I'll first speak about the experience. Of course, we've been on this for a very long time. Yes, I have not been appointed before, I've not been elected before, but I've been in that corridor of power in this Lagos, you know, for 20 years running now, in that corridor as a consultant. And, you know, all these years, I was just busy doing one thing, understanding the structure. Why is it that people find it so difficult to get things done on their own, except even the governors that we elected can't even get anything done, except it goes for the second level approval. And for that number of years, I was understanding this structure and all of this. So what we're doing today is a product of a thorough research. And now I'm sure you want to speak about money when you said the wherewithal and how do you get to do it. I'll say something to you. People always think about how much is that naira and kobo I have in kitty before I get something done. They never believe that first thing is the vision. You know, there was a trending video sometimes, I was talking about Dubai 50 years ago, you know, and Dubai 50 years after. Dubai didn't have money, 50 years ago. Somebody had a vision and started pursuing that vision, and alongside, money started coming in. So this should be, yes, there is need for naira and kobo, but it's secondary. Now, what we're doing here today, people are buying into it, people are looking at it. You saw it. 6 governors and the National Working Committee came to Lagos, not because Jide is Jagaban, Jide is a wealthy man, but because we had that vision.
This Lagos for Lagos. Who is funding Jide Adediran? Because you came up with this, and people will be asking, where is he getting the money from? I mean, you were the one that is very close to a lot of APC folks, chieftains. All of a sudden, you said you are starting Lagos for Lagos. The question is that, where did you get this money from?
Now, this is not all of a sudden, Sheung. We started this movement 6 years ago. And the thinking that, oh, you can't get anything done, except, and of course, you have somebody bankrolling you. I think we need to discard it, so that we don't start passing. See, I'll tell you something. Some people joined this movement at first, and they thought, I mean, in their head, it was like it was somebody that was sponsoring. When they discovered that it was nobody, they left. Now they're coming back to say that, you know why we left the other time? We thought it was so person. But when we discovered, say, oh, we can't go into this, oh, we don't have any backbone. Sheung, on Friday, we had 40,000 of our members at the TBS. You saw the crowd. We had 900 buses across the local government, ferrying them there. Sheung, we have 115 in our membership base in Lagos for Lagos. So logistic problem, we're able to move in just that number to that place because we can't possibly cater for all of them. This guy paid for their own gala and cook to come to the venue. And you see, that was why when it was around 2, 3 o'clock, they were leaving. They were leaving because at that point, we were still expecting our visitors to come from, you know, from everywhere they were coming from. Because nobody, you can't see us, you can't see anybody sharing money at that floor. So we're contributing money.
Listen, Shehu,
listen, there is this thing you need to know.
I've heard you speak about Lagos for Lagos a few times, either in social media or, I mean, once or twice now you've been on this program. But one thing that you have shown or you have expressed over the last few months is your disgust for the manner in which politics is being run in the APC. And for those who have accused you of you not being able to get into the mainstream of the Lagos politics. In fact, the last time you were on this program with Mr. Seyi Oladejo, he said to you that you are not able to learn the ropes and you are not really able to be patient. And you have said that the godfathers those are the ones you came to fight. Who is the godfather that you are fighting in Lagos?
I never said I was here to fight any godfather, but here to fight a system that hasn't been working for all of us in Lagos, irrespective of where you come from. Here is to say that, yes,
and what is that system?
is in APC.
What system is that?
While in APC,
what kind of system is that?
You can't on your own sleep, wake up, and believe you have that vision and you want to run for office, except somebody asks you to jump before you jump. That is the difference between us. And since we've been preaching that in APC, they looked at us. Let me even say to you, we had so many support base within the APC, but unfortunately they can't even come out because of one thing they have done or refused to do with the system in the past. They can't even come out, and they love us genuinely. But for us, because we have never had such path, and we're like, okay, you know what? This is what we are going to represent. Now they are looking at us as PDP. Oh, okay, he has gone to PDP. And the fight is that guy should not get PDP ticket because they know that the moment we get on the ballot, it's not going to be just PDP on the ballot. It's going to be a breath of fresh air on the ballot. And that is what they don't want. So for us, even while in APC, we were fighting this. We were saying, look, we want to contest. If we want to run, just if you know you have the number, just come and beat us so that we'll go. I want to believe if they organized or agreed to do an elective Congress while we're in APC, perhaps they would have beaten us, and they would have forgotten this whole thing and went back home and pack up Lagos for Lagos. But they never showed interest in any contest.
Another question here is the fact that you must be confident about one thing, that you have a support base. That's one thing you have said, that over the last 6 years or so, you've had people, followers, and members of the Lagos for Lagos.
Yes, we do have.
If you go to the poll today, how many votes can you boast of?
You see, I won't sit here and give you numbers and say this is the amount of votes I'm going to garner during the electionary process. But what I can tell you is that in every ward and in every polling unit in Lagos, we now have loyal supporters who are faithful, who are not ready for anybody to tip them or to give them anything before they get the job done. You see, based on that, we believe, and APC do know, that, of course, if election is tomorrow, they're already on their way out in Lagos as we speak. That is if, we found ourselves on the ballot. But again, even if we're not even the one on the ballot, anybody from the PDP, because what we have done is to come to that party, like I said, add value, ultimately win for the party. It is only when the party wins that, those numerous numbers that you see following us can also benefit, and Lagos will change for better. I'm saying, can we even do something else in the state of Lagos?
I'm also going to ask you, have you consulted with the likes of Chief Bode George?
Not just Chief Bode George, every leader in the PDP. If you've been following, if you've been monitoring in the last 1 month that we expressed interest to join that party, I've been everywhere. I've been to all the leaders. I've been to few local government to ensure that we integrate ourselves, even at the national level, to integrate ourselves, with the existing structure of the party. Yes, we're good.
Okay. So, let's take a listen to what Senator Yocha Ayu said at that rally in Lagos on Friday, and we'll get the APC to react to it. Take a listen to Senator Yocha Ayu.
Lagos for Lagos. Nigeria for Nigeria. PDP for Nigeria. Let me tell you, my brothers, I'm a Lagosian. I lived in Lagos for many years. I was happy. Today I know you are not happy because you gave your life away to people who deceive you about change. Are you enjoying the change? Are you enjoying the change? How much is a bag of rice? No more slavery in Lagos. We
All right, then you heard Senator Yocha Ayu, who has since been joined in our Lagos studio by Ayodele Adewale, who is the organizing secretary of the APC in Lagos. Thank you so much, Mr. Adewale, for joining us. Unfortunately, you are not able to join us early, but I guess you have an understanding of what your very good friend, Jide Adediran, is saying, and what he said on the program tonight. Let me allow you to react quickly within the little time that we have left. There is a threat that come 2023, APC should get ready to move out of the government house in Lagos.
Well, thanks for having me, and sorry for coming late. It was due to some traffic hiccups. I don't see any threat at all, and whoever has said that perhaps is from their figment of imagination. Lagos is going very well. The population is increasing. And I guess that is why you keep seeing huge traffic all over the place, and human traffic movement also. There are development all over Lagos. Construction is going on. SMEs are growing. The governor of Lagos is trying his best to make sure that the blue line come to be. And the waterways also are being utilized. Agriculture in Lagos is also being optimized in terms of its capacity. And so many things are happening in Lagos. Investors are coming in with investment. Security is vast being tackled. And I don't see any threat as far as I'm concerned.
Jide there will be probably laughing, because if you see the kind of people, he talked about 40,000 people. Jide left APC with the Lagos for Lagos group. And Jide, quickly, your friend, Mr. Adewale, said there is no threat. But you are hoping to become Lagos governor in 2023. How much of a threat are you to the APC?
Let me first say, yes, I was actually laughing. Because first, what do you expect from somebody who is benefiting from a particular system? What do you want him to say of the system? But thank God, his opening statement was traffic. That was why he came late. And I'm sure there's no rocket science to fix that anywhere in the world. He spoke about waterways. I'm from riverine area of the States, but we'll come to that. What happened on Friday? What else do you expect them to say? They will tell us it's nothing to be worried about. Of course, yes, we don't care whether it's something to be worried about. But what we know, that the moment you have people in the opposing camp, investing their resources and time, to react to something that you are doing, just know that fear don't enter. So that's where I'm coming from in all of this. So. Yes, they can come here and say...
Let me allow Adewale to react to that. Because it's a conversation, and the rivalry is now between the PDP and the APC. Let me allow you, because I'll give you more time to talk because of the little time that we have left.
Well, it's rather pitiable that Jide here will be saying that he hadn't benefited from the system. Jide has benefited immensely from the system. I think, if I'm not wrong, at a point, he was the head of the press center in Alausa.
No.
I think, if I'm not wrong, but you were in the Alausa press center. You were a media guy, are you not?
You were wrong. I was running my personal business.
Are you not a media guy?
I was running my personal business as a consultant.
But you were hovering around Alausa.
I was a consultant, just like I consult for other states in the Federation.
I normally see you at the press center.
I don't understand as a consultant.
Well, leave that aside.
That's my personal business.
Leave that aside. I know Jide has benefited immensely from Lagos, from the government of Lagos. So if he has any departure on how things are done positively, well, it is for his own angle, and he has a free will to do as it please, but that does not mean that you should run down a system that you have benefited from. Moving forward, I saw what happened at TBS. If you care to take your camera around the TBS, you'll see that what they call crowd is just a pile of people concentrated in one angle. That does not demonstrate the will of support from over 22 million Lagosians in here. But like a musician once said, that talk is cheap. We will demonstrate this come February 2023.
And March.
2023. will demonstrate all of this very, very well. And we will see who the people will queue behind. As far as we are concerned, we will not be derailed, neither are we going to be distracted from developing Lagos as we've been given the opportunity to do so since 1999. We will continue to do so. We'll do our best in making sure that the economy of Lagos is robust. And the more we do this, the more people see that it is greener in Lagos, and that's why you have the huge population of people coming
just
down.
to wrap up quickly, Mr. Adewale, the concept of the Lagos for Lagos, as Jide has posited tonight, is that they were running away from a one-man show where one person will have to determine the fate and the destiny of everyone in the party, not giving a level playing field. He said that was the situation in the APC, and that's the reason why he left. There's no internal democracy in the APC. As we close now, let me get your final thought.
Is that's a lie.
An evil that will work against your party going forward?
Sheon, that's a big lie. That's a big lie. There's not like one-man show in Lagos. What we have here is an internal democracy. And I keep telling people that if you join any political party, the party has its own charter, it has its own constitution, it has its own way of doing things. And as soon as you come in, you must embrace those things, or if you don't, then you leave it. But if you have to embrace it, it means that you must try as much as possible to woo people to your side. And if things do not happen the way you want, it doesn't mean that you jettison the party. What it means is that you go back to your drawing board and assess and do what is needful for you to move forward. Sheon, in 2014, I left as chairman of local government. It's not that I'm not popular. And this is 2022. I've not been elected into any office. I've not left the APC. I've continued to making sure that I move the party forward in my constituency and globally in Lagos. And I've continued to play
we're totally out of time.
my
In fact,
role in it.
we've overreached our bounds tonight on the program. But I just wanted to give you some more time to talk because of the traffic delay you had earlier. But I must sincerely thank both of you, Ayo Adewale, who is the organizing secretary of the APC, and Judy Adediran, the convener of the Lagos for Lagos, who is now a PDP member. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming on tonight. And that's how we draw the curtains of the program tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm Shion Akimale. Bye-bye.